Hello, Helena, and welcome to this week's edition of our Partners, United Way Partner Spotlight. And we're glad you're here with us. This week, we're talking with our friends at Childcare Connections. Larissa Moe is with us, and she is going to solve all the childcare problems we have in our community. And actually, she's going to give us some great answers about the best way to find the right childcare for your child. So let's get into it, Larissa.
All right. You kind of set me up there, but all
right. Yeah. Well, okay, I stole your thunder. Would you like to tell us your role at Childcare Connections?
Well, currently I'm labeled as a provider support specialist, and so I work a lot with providers, people that want to become childcare providers, and then current providers that maybe are in a different role or are moving from maybe a group facility to a center facility. So I can do a lot of help through the licensing process. I find them resources to develop handbooks, staff trainings, things like that. So
organizations that may be smaller, enlarging, transitions, all those kind of things, you can help with that.
Yep, and I can even help family members who maybe want to become what we call FFNs and take care of their grandchildren or take care of neighbor kids and things like that. So
you better tell us what a FFN is. I think I know, but you go ahead and tell us.
It's classified as a family friend or neighbor, so it allows a person to be registered with the state of Montana, and then they can receive the Best Beginning scholarships to either watch their grandchild or a friend's children or their neighbors. So it's just
and that's we're all pinching pennies, and the ability to do that can be critical for folks. If you have a family, friend, or neighbor that might be able to help out. Well, that's so important because resources are limited, I've heard.
And it's just an additional way that maybe a family can get care for their children that they need to enable them to go and, go to work and go to school, that type of thing.
Absolutely. Well, good. Well, I've got a few questions for you.
Okay.
And tell us, for example, how does a parents find the right child care for their child?
Well, it really starts with the right questions. And so the first question you really want to ask is whether the facility you're looking at or looking into is registered or licensed. Because if the answer to that question is yes, then there's a whole other group of things that you're already going to know. So, for instance, you'll know that there is some oversight because they are registered or licensed with the state of Montana. You'll know automatically that they are required to have liability insurance. You'll know that there's been background checks done, that the environment and the space has been approved to care for the number of children on their license, that they have egress windows and emergency preparedness supplies, that they have plans in place, and things like that. So that being licensed or registered automatically means that a lot of those things are already in place.
Sure.
And you can feel good about that.
They're qualified. They've been inspected. All those things, that all those important safety issues are met.
Exactly. And in addition to the health and safety, you'll also know that the staff has been trained. There's ongoing training for staff that they have to do every year. And it's not just any kind of training, it's training specific to child care. So child development, health and safety issues, safe sleep, there's extra requirements for infant care and things like that. So.
Well, we know that those early years are so critical for child development, for human development, and being sure that all those regulations are met, folks are trained, that's critically important. Let's get into a few questions here.
Okay.
For example, when a person's looking for a child care facility, is the environment clean and safe? Parents should probably visit the site where their kids are going to be cared for so that they can be sure. But how important is the safety and the cleanliness of an environment?
Very, very important. I mean, as you mentioned before about the brain brain development is most rapid in the first 3 years of life. And so it's really imperative that children are in environments that are going to facilitate that development and help it be the best it can be. So again, you're going to want to look for cleanliness, safety issues. Are there baby gates? Are there locks on places? You know, they're not allowed to go into areas that are unsafe for them? Is there fencing around the yard? You know, those are things that you're going to look for to make sure that.
Large pets?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
It shouldn't be large pets.
No.
Okay.
And if they're registered or licensed, if there are pets in the facility, there is a requirement to make sure they're vaccinated and child friendly. So that's another
Absolutely.
aspect.
Well,
too.
good. So, what about then communication between the child care provider and the parents? How important is that?
That's very important. So you'll want to ask questions like, you know, are parents allowed to be involved in the program? What's the accessibility? How are you communicated about your child's day? You know, some facilities might do text messaging throughout the day or emails. They might have a management system that allows parents to kind of log into an app and see their child in the facility. So those are definitely questions you want to ask.
I think I've seen some of those where there's cameras, folks can tune in and see how the kiddos are doing that day.
And there's
One thing we all experienced recently, for example, you know, COVID. If a family's experiencing COVID, then places will have rules about, okay, don't bring your child and things like that. I mean, there's health rules and regulations,
Right.
I'm sure also. Right?
Yes, so there's illness policies that have to be followed and certain requirements, you know, about fevers and things like that. They're regulated to kind of stop the spread of illness and keep those vulnerable populations like infants from being overly exposed to things.
Right, because when you think about it, kiddos being sick, it's could be a bad environment for sharing viruses and things like that. But having those regulations in place, knowing when not to take your child to child care, so important. So talk a little bit about, and I know how important this is because, man, those kiddos just change, it seems like daily, but age-appropriate curriculum is really important. If you've got the difference between a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, like night and day, right?
Exactly. And like I said, you know, the brain is developing so fast, but in order for that brain to get the best development, they need to be able to explore and have opportunities to learn. And like you said, that's going to look different for a 2-year-old than from a 5-year-old. So if you have those mixed age groups, making sure that there's adequate supplies and equipment for those different age groups. And so you don't have a 5-year-old that's maybe bored all day because he doesn't have anything
Because he's tired
to
of
play with.
crayons and he'd rather be doing something else.
Or
And
2-year-olds that are being told to not touch things or stay out of things because it's not appropriate for them.
Right.
So
We could teach a 2-year-old to play a video game, right? Sure, we could do that.
yeah.
So yes, age-appropriate curriculum that not only obviously educates them, but is fun for that age group, and that makes a huge difference, right?
And I think another component that ties into that is also asking kind of the facility what their kind of philosophy is or how they incorporate different age groups into activities, how they address like challenging behaviors, you know, what their expectations are, because that gives you an insight into how much they understand about child development and the differences between ages as well.
That's true. If somebody's particularly rambunctious and they're a 3-year-old, you might redirect them in a different way than you might a 4 or 5-year-old and things like that.
So that kind of understanding.
But you're right. This profession has come a long way, and learning how to manage, busy children is absolutely. We need professionals doing this work. We just absolutely do. Healthy meals and snacks. Really? You can't just give them goldfish and turn them loose? I mean, what do we do?
Again, if you're licensed and registered, there are criteria for healthy snacks and meals. You also have an opportunity to participate in the USDA food program, which also gives you guidelines for healthy snacks and meals and components of different food groups and things like that. So even if you don't serve like lunch, but you offer snacks, there's guidance for that. And then, of course, even if you're not serving all the food, there's still an awareness about allergies and things like that that need to be taken into account to help safeguard children as
Sure,
well.
because little Sally might bring a peanut butter sandwich, and this guy is allergic, and you have to keep track of these things. So important, and even the food has got to be age appropriate as well.
Yeah,
so,
and if you're serving food and stuff, just knowing, food safety requirements, how to store food safely, how to heat it, keep it heated, prepare it, things like that.
Can't just bust out the Oreos and turn them loose? You can't do that.
No, I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay, so yes, healthy meals. Again, this is why these folks are professionals. So you keep talking about licensed, registered. Tell me a little more about the STARS program and this accreditation process and how folks, frankly, how do they get registered? So describe that whole kind of continuum of,
Okay,
services.
so licensing is really just kind of the basic guidelines. So you become registered or licensed with the state, you meet those requirements. If you want to go above that, Montana has their STARS program, which is a quality
And STARS,
rating.
remind me, isn't that an acronym for something?
It's an acronym, but it doesn't really stand for anything. It's just STARS.
Okay.
So it's one of the few acronyms that don't have
All right.
things to go with them. But it is a quality rating system that we use, and there's 5 levels. So as a program gets into STARS, they can actually choose to decide how high they go.
Okay.
And based on where they want to go, they'll have additional training, they'll have additional requirements, but they also can get additional support for that too. So as they move up. And then, of course, at the national level, there's also accreditation. So for centers, you can be accredited through NAEYC, and then family and facilities inside homes can be approved through NAFCC. So there are 2 levels of national accreditation recognition.
Oh, very nice. For both centers and for family units.
Yep.
I'm curious because back in the day when I was working in this field, I think we only had 1 or 2 stars, I don't know, is it 5-star, accredited facilities in Helena. Do you have a feel for how many stars locations we have in Helena now? I'm throwing you in a
don't have
quick
those
question.
exact
Okay,
numbers
okay.
because our STARS consultant for our Helena office is actually Brandy Thomas.
Oh,
so
yes,
she is
yes.
the one that keeps track of all that kind of stuff too.
Ballpark? We have a handful? Do we have
More than a handful.
Oh, good.
I can tell
good.
you that.
We have a lot.
So
Good.
yes.
All
So
right.
and they're at different levels.
Sure.
So
Sure.
But yeah, and I actually personally, when I was a provider, was part of the STARS program.
Oh, good.
And like I said, it's not a mandatory program, but it's a way to reach those higher levels of quality.
Sure.
And
Sure.
to kind of get the word out there to parents
And-
that you're working above just the basic.
Absolutely. And who doesn't want, as we think about our children, putting them in care, who wouldn't want the best, right? And
Right.
so the STARS program is a way for someone starting out, providing childcare, to frankly improve their own program.
Right.
As you said, access resources to help them improve their program. And I've seen successful programs in our community where there's multiple staff, and there's a great sense of pride in those teams that work with that particular age group. And they get so connected to those kids day in and day out.
Yeah, and the other advantage especially to STARS, is it just doesn't focus on either the program or the administration. It takes an overall view. So it uplifts your entire staff because they're taking extra training, they're getting extra knowledge, they're learning with individual coaching and assistance, and so it really has that overall effect.
Sure,
to really
so it
uplift
raises
the
the whole
The
program.
whole program.
Not just a particular piece of it, but the whole program. That's excellent, excellent. So we've covered a lot in these few minutes, and there's a lot of questions here. There's more questions, I'm sure.
Yes.
Tell us, I'm guessing you have a website where a lot of these questions are written down and folks can access them online.
We do. So our website is cccmontanaspelledout.org, and there is a whole list of the similar questions on our blog.
Okay.
And so they can print out the blog, and it goes through like what it means to be licensed and registered, what it means to have a clean and safe environment, the open communication, and so there's all these things.
All those things.
Yes.
So cccmontana.org, is that what it is? So Childcare Connections, cccmontana.org
Yep.
for a lot of this information that you can access online. Excellent. What if, boy, you've just moved to Helena, you've got 2 little ones, and they're like, oh, the waiting list is 3 years long, you know? I mean, how do folks get help finding childcare in our area?
Again, they can go to our website and fill out a referral form, or they can come into one of our offices, and any of our staff would be happy to help them fill out that referral form. And what it does is it allows the families to give specific information about what they're looking for, or what the ages are of their children, and then we can generate a list of licensed and registered caregivers in the area and give it to them. So they have kind of that initial step of where to go, who to contact, what the contact numbers are, and then they call and can set up tours and visits and things like that.
So they can come directly to you instead of going to all the child cares in
Right,
town
and get a
filling out
comprehensive list.
so come to you, fill out the application, the form, and you'll help process that information.
Yeah, and that is available for all families.
Yep.
I mean, we do
All income levels.
all
everyone.
income levels,
Yep.
any family. We also do the Best Beginning Scholarship help in our office, but any family could come in and be on that referral system and get that list.
Excellent, excellent. Well, one more time, Larissa, contact information, your website, and maybe a phone number. How do they call?
So our main
Childcare
line
Connections.
is 406-587-7786. We do have an office in Helena and an office in Bozeman,
Okay.
because we cover 6 counties. And on our website, there's also all of our staff is listed on our website with direct lines as well.
Great.
So if you know a particular person or want to work in a particular area, you can contact that person as well.
Great, great. I know you've got a great staff over there, and this is not a small challenge, providing childcare for our great kids, our most valuable resource, our children.
Yes.
So thank you for your time, and thanks for
you.
the information, and keep doing great things at Childcare Connections.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us this week. We'll see you next time.